Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 598 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous, Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together, as well as college students together. Fun fact, my favorite part of watching our next guest over many years is the way that he gives back. Yes, he gives back in terms of mentoring other doctors and even helping burn victims in other countries. But locally, I get to see him investing in the success of other aspiring entrepreneurs in the National Publicity Summit, where he and I work with guests all over the country to get them ready to share their stories with television shows, news outlets, and even podcasts like our shows. He's an absolute national treasure in Canada, and he's here with us today. Dr. Alan Lycka is acknowledged as one of the leading cosmetic dermatologists in the world. A pioneer in his field, he helped develop several new technologies and has spoken at podiums worldwide. In 2003, his life changed when he was misdiagnosed with ALS. Many people know that as Lou Gehrig's disease, and he was given 6 months to live. After fighting that diagnosis, he is here today as a result of his courage and his determination. He's been given a golden ticket in life, and he used that experience to co-author the book. It's called The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life, with an introduction by #1 New York Times bestselling author Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul and The Success Principles. He is an internationally sought after keynote speaker. He is a mentor, he is a trainer, and he's living a fantastic life just to share his journey with all of us. Welcome to the show, Dr. Al.
Oh, thank you for having me, Michael. It is such a pleasure to be here. I love the fact that you've take this time to interview people like myself, and I love to educate your audience because, everybody needs a little bit of enthusiasm. Everybody needs a little bit of hope. You work with students all the time, and I tell you, it is a crisis in a lot of student bodies. Many students get depressed. Many students have mental health issues. And, a lot of it has to do with the pressure they go under. I mean, every student has to produce. And it's the school of hard knocks where they're given the test before the lesson. It's different if they were given the lesson first. But, a perfect test is one where 80% of people do not know the answers. That's what it is on a multiple choice exam. So how can you ever excel on a multiple choice test when it's already stacked against you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the other thing is, students are afraid to fail. You and I both know there's so many lessons to learn when you fail, and they're afraid, deathly afraid of failure. And that's when I've learned the biggest lessons in my life. So that's another part of the problem here.
Well, the lady who invented the company called Spanx, I forget her name, her father would reward her every week when she came home with the failure of the week. And that allowed her to see the mindset differently. That failure wasn't her, it was the situation. It was something that I talk about often when I speak to groups. How failure is really not something that doesn't occur, but it's an essential part of success. That failure is something that everybody needs to know about. And in fact, I talk about the fear flipper method when I speak. And I'm just going to give that as a little tease for people because I want people to look me up and check me out and listen to some of my materials on my shows because these are all out there, and it's important for people to learn from these things and not think this show is the be all and end all. I want them to learn this as a golden nugget, to go and research more, find out more, because really the gold is when you take it on yourself to look things up and find things out. I think everybody should read at least a book a month. I try to read a book a week. I used to in my older days. I've gotten a little lazier, but I listen to more audiobooks than I do actually the reading now because I work it into my schedule a little bit better. But boy, is it important for people to push themselves a bit. And I know all the students are out there saying, I don't have the time. Well, how much time do you spend on social media every day?
6 hours a day, according to the latest studies.
Okay, so could you shut that down a little bit? Take a little bit from that TikTok scrolling and a little bit from that Instagram scrolling and use something that's valuable. I mean, really, come on. The time is there. It's where you and I have the same 24 hours, Michael.
Yes.
I'll guarantee we use that time differently than a lot of our listeners out there.
Yep. 100% right. I am a producer out there in terms of Instagram and TikTok. So you will see me there, but I'm not a consumer necessarily of that. And so understand that I totally agree with everything that you've said here. And by the way, it's Sarah Blakely is the founder of Spanx, and yeah, her father is absolutely genius, I think, for asking Sarah Blakely to come back with her failure of the day because that allowed her to be a tremendous, I mean, a mega uber successful entrepreneur in life that she just repeats over and over again because she's failed and she's learned from it. And there's no way I'm standing here in front of all of you today, in front of thousands of students next week at Auburn University. There's no way I would have ever reached that had I not failed at other things before. So understand that Al is right. It's a critical part of your learning, and we should no longer be afraid of that failure, but rather embrace it because that is the learning opportunity. Now, Dr. Lycka, I know you went to the University of Calgary for your undergraduate experience. I'm wondering, why did you choose the University of Calgary? You could have gone anywhere.
The answer is probably convenience. I was still living at home then. I thought, this is where I can get my first degree. The first degree is going to be the same as any degree, whether I go to Harvard, Yale, UBC. And I said, well, Calgary, it's convenient. It's nice to go here. And the University of Calgary is a very interesting school. It's one of those radically new schools that is not afraid to embrace new ideas. It is not like the old school. Harvard has the idea that only the elite should go there, that you have to be one of the chosen to go there. Calgary and my other school, the University of Alberta, has the idea that no, university should be for everyone. It should be for everybody that wants to grow and learn. It should be for somebody that really wants to do those. And so for one of my schools, their Gaelic motto is, I shall lift my eyes. Well, that is pretty unique. First, it's got a Gaelic motto. That's the University of Calgary. And secondly, I shall lift my eyes. So you're lifting your eyes to the truth. You're lifting your eyes to the next being. Very important.
Yeah, very, very important indeed. I want to talk a little bit about resilience because I mentioned in the intro that you were once misdiagnosed with ALS. You were told you only had months to live. And that was a turning point in your life and it shaped your perspective on resilience. So, what lessons can college students learn from that when they are obviously going to face their own setbacks, just like you and I have?
So let's go through that. I'll talk about me personally, but then I want to talk about the students themselves and their own things. So in 2003, I was walking in Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, and suddenly and mysteriously, I developed a right foot drop. Uh, my wife turned to me and said, "What's wrong with you, hon?" I had no idea what was wrong, but my right foot was flapping on the pavement with each step I was taking. So, like any wife, she says, well, when you get back, you better get it checked out. And like any good husband, I get it checked out. I see a gazillion doctors. They were kerfuffled. They had no idea what was going on. They did brain scans. They did scans. They did every test known to man. And still at the end of the day, they didn't know what was going on. So they sent me to a world-leading neurologist. I walked in and I said, hi. He said, hi back. You better be sitting down when I tell you this. I said, why? You have a dropped right foot. I said, okay, I've got a dropped right foot. What does that mean? He says, only one thing, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Get your affairs in order. You're going to be dead in 6 months. I said, is there a way to prove this? He said, of course, an autopsy.
Wow.
And I said, I'm not going to die to prove you wrong. So I left. I came out, I slammed the door. I got to my car, I cried for hours. I went home, explained it to my wife, and she said, no, you don't have ALS. I don't know what you have, but you don't have that. But Michael, when you go through this, you go through the phases of death and dying.
Yeah.
You go through this anytime you go through trauma. You go through anger. You get angry at the world. You can bite the head off nails. You go through bargaining. Oh God, please don't let this happen. I'll do anything if you don't let this happen. You go through denial. You deny that anything's wrong and you push yourself harder. And I pushed myself hard, but then my right hand became involved. And a right-handed cosmetic surgeon does not do well with a right hand that's not working.
Hmm.
So what I do, I train myself to be a left-handed cosmetic surgeon. You know, Michael, if you do something 10,000 times, you get good at it.
Sure.
And my left hand just became as good as my right hand. And then you go through depression. Have you ever been depressed, Mike?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Okay. Those are the dark days.
Yeah.
Days become nights, nights become days. You can stay in bed all day. And why shouldn't you? Because whatever's bothered you is going to come to pass no matter what. So I wasn't going to die like people with ALS. I wasn't going to drown in my own secretions. So I had a plan to kill myself. So I went to my wife and I said, dear, what do I do? She says, perhaps you haven't seen the right doctor yet. I said, how? I've seen every doctor I've known of. She said, think about it. You're smart. You can figure it out. Now, back in 2003, actually sooner, something new was invented. You might have heard about it, Mike. It's called the internet.
Yep.
Now, that was revolutionary back then. I mean, but you had to put a phone on a cradle. It went re-ant, 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 that obnoxious sound for 15 minutes. And if you could connect it, you could get to the other side. But you couldn't talk to it. You couldn't use AI. You couldn't do the things we do now. You had to use a primitive language like DOS with about 60 prompts. And I had friends that could take me to the other side, and they helped me look. But the problem with the internet is much like it is now. It's like the world's best library, but it's full of garbage cans. And you can't tell the garbage cans from the great resources. Well, they got me in touch with a doctor in Colorado Springs, Colorado, by the name of David Martz, who had the same symptoms I had, but he got worse much more rapidly. And he was on his deathbed within weeks. Doctors from around the world were coming to say goodbye to him. And a doctor came from Texas, a Dr. Harvey, and looked at him and said, you do not have ALS, David. David said, what do I have? All he could do was whisper. He was so weak. The doctor said, you have chronic Lyme's disease. You've been bitten by a tick.
Wow.
Mimicking ALS. And if I'm right, I can make you better. And sure enough, he was given medications, and like Lazarus, he arose from the dead. So David started treating people with this weird disease. So I phoned every hospital in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I got in touch with him. And he said, "Can you come down to see me?" I said, "When?" He said, "Right now." I said, "It's Thanksgiving in Canada. My wife's invited 50 people over." He said, "Aren't there any planes in Canada?" So, so I went to my wife, my hat in my hand, explained it to her. And she said, "What are you waiting for? I'll pack your bags for you. I'll get you on the plane." So I went down there. It was a flight from hell, topsy-turvy, wind gusts, dropping 100 feet without warning. Got there, crawled off the plane, and there was David on the tarmac to me. We talked for hours, and he said some magic words. "I think history is repeating itself." So he started me on treatment, and here I am, after a death sentence in 2003, thriving in 2025. Now, I'm not telling this for myself. I'm telling your listeners for one reason, Michael, because no matter what gets in their way, they can overcome it. It's not a death sentence to get a C on your English course. It's not a death sentence if you don't get into Harvard or Yale. It's not a death sentence if you don't get into the school of your choice. It's not a death sentence if your girlfriend rejects you and you have to move on to somebody else. It's not a death sentence if you don't get your first choice of a career and have to go on into another one. You know, life is funny like that, Michael.
Yeah.
You and I know that. How the twists and turns in life are so different and so amazing. That really, that's the thing about life. You and I don't know the plan for it. You and I will never know the plan for it. But it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. I'll repeat that because this was the word of Epictetus over 2,000 years ago. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. Now, Epictetus was a slave. Because of the work he did, he was made a free man. Now, here he's overcoming something that he's forced into, being a slave, and he becomes a free man in a world that didn't accept that. You know, every day we have challenges. You turn on the news every day, Michael,
Oh boy, oh boy.
and this world is not a friendly place.
No.
My answer to that is turn off the news and make your own news. Make your own life. Because no matter what you hear on the news today, you can change. You can make better for you. You can really modify the world for you. So let's suppose some trauma happens in your life. What's the first thing you do? You pause. Don't let the anger, bargaining, denial, depression scenario take over. Don't let the fear factor take over in your life. Remember, 99% of what you fear never happens. And the 1% that happens teaches you a valuable lesson so you don't go there again. So don't let the things, the little hiccups, the speed bumps along the way really affect you and destroy your life. That's not what life is about. Life is about living each day to the fullest, doing the little things. And a lot of that starts with being thankful for what you have. You know, the poorest person in North America has 1,000 times more than many of the people in the third world country that live on $160 a month in the slums and ghettos of Calcutta. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about how much we have. It's not about worrying about getting the newest cell phone. It's not about getting this newest app on your phone. It's not about all these materialistic things that we do. It's the little things we do every day that make a difference. It's the little things you can do for your classmate to make their day a little bit better. It's the little things you're doing in the hall rooms and having coffee with them. It's the little things about doing your homework assignments and making sure they're done as well as you could. Now, you notice I didn't say perfectly, because I don't think I ever did a perfect homework assignment in my life. But I was still able to become one of the top cosmetic doctors in the world and become something that was I really appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, you did that job for over 3 decades as a leading cosmetic dermatologist, and there's some consistency to that to be able to do something like that for 3 decades. I'm wondering what habits or mindset helped you to maintain excellence for such a long career, and how can the students listening apply those same principles to their own career?
Well, the first thing you have to decide is how can I make a difference? How can I really make a difference for people and really make sure they're going to be amazing and just make small things that way.
Mhm.
That the little things are wonderful to do and necessary to do. Uh, Little baby steps are what make the difference. And first, stop. I'm going to say this: stop pissing and moaning. Don't begrudge the little things that happen. Take
Yeah.
the F bomb out of your vocabulary and remember little differences, little attitude shifts make all the difference.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. One of the things you talked earlier in your intro, you were talking a little bit about anxiety and depression. That's a major, major issue. Mental health, you mentioned. Suicides on college campuses are rising every single year. That was a trend that I saw when I was the executive director of Sigma Pi fraternity. Every year, I would see more mental health issues within our members. So, if you could give one science-backed tool to manage the stress and improve their confidence on a college campus, what would that be?
The first thing is you got to remember our brain is very plastic. It
Mhm.
remembers what it's been fed. It remembers the negative thoughts that it was fed. So let's suppose you get a bad mark and you say to yourself, I am useless. Well, you should really reprogram yourself to say, I didn't achieve it yet. I didn't get my A yet, but I'm fully capable of it. You know. Secondly, is do something for yourself every day, like meditate or go for a walk. Go for a walk in nature because that will reset your brain and help your brain do things. Remember, your brain is fed a steady diet of the things that you feed it. It eats the steady diet of what you feed it.
Mm.
So if you feed yourself, I'm afraid, you say, no, reprogram. Say, I have fears, but they can be overcome.
Nice.
I have anxiety, but that is a natural state. Everybody is anxious about something. But as a child, we only have two fears. As a baby, we only have two fears. One is loud noises. And can you guess what the other one is?
No, I can't. What is the other one?
I suspect it's dying.
Ah,
Okay?
mhm.
Loud noises, but everything else is learned.
Yeah, interesting. Very,
So
very interesting.
you've got to really think, why are we listening to everything we've learned? A lot of this comes down to when we were children and being programmed by our parents. And our parents, when they were disciplining us, didn't have the proper tools. So they wouldn't concentrate on our behavior. They'd concentrate on you, saying, you, Michael, are a bad boy. and you integrate that into your subconscious. Your parents say when you got a bad mark, oh, you're never going to be anything, Michael. You're never going to make it to the top because look, it's obvious. You got this C here on this test, and we know you're A material. So no, you just don't have what it takes. Some teacher did that to you. Somebody did that to you
Sure.
along, and you integrated it as that little voice inside your cranium, and you keep on bringing that up every time something goes wrong, and that replay keeps coming up. So you literally have to reprogram your brain each time that happens.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. The other thing too about living this wonderful life that you're living, part of it is service, and I see you giving back to everybody that you meet. Why do you feel that service and giving back to others is such an important part of living a fantastic life?
I think you saw that in your service with sororities. Uh,
Sure.
what makes a sorority special is not the parties.
Right.
It's not necessarily the people, but it's the things the sorority does for the society that it's in. That literally is what makes a sorority special. And they integrate that, at least the good sororities do,
Yes.
right at the get-go.
Yep.
At the introductory party, they say, this is the things we're doing to make this society better and
Yes.
this life better. This is how we make it better. And in this world, giving is so important to get. Uh, Giving is where it starts. If you give something, you get something back. But you shouldn't give to get something back. You should give because it's the right thing to do. It should be something that you should. So, as a student, I'm going to challenge them to do something good for somebody today they wouldn't regularly do. If you see somebody down, give them a smile, give them a hug, give them a handshake, buy them a coffee, spend some time with them. I'll guarantee somebody's not going to commit suicide today if they know somebody is out there that cares for them and knows they really care,
Mhm.
that they really know that there's going to be somebody that's listening to them and has their heart in the situation.
Yeah, this world would be a much better place if everybody adopted that philosophy, Dr. Al. The other thing that I love about you is you and your wife, you guys have been married for 42 years. You have
Actually, 44 now.
44, I'm losing track, 44 years. You have four daughters, you have eight grandchildren,
One more just came. We got
another grandchild.
another
Unbelievable.
granddaughter who's 1 month old today.
So you have to share your secrets here. You can't keep this to yourself. What have you learned about building lasting relationships that our students can apply to their friendships, their dating life, and eventually building a family like yours?
Well, the first thing you have to realize is you have to listen. Second of all, you have to forgive, and you've got to let forgiveness go before everything else. And you've got to remember one line. If it's not going to matter in 100 years, it's not going to matter today. Remember that. So you're building for the future of making the things important. Then you should have a list of things that are important in your life. Okay? A short list of 3 to 5 things. So for me, I'm religious. So for me, my religion's first. Secondly, my family is second. And at the top of that pyramid is my wife. So no matter where I'm traveling, I will get on a phone for at least 15 minutes with my wife and talk to her every day because it's so easy to grow apart when you're doing all the stuff you do.
Yeah.
That's the commitment you have to make to stay in a marriage for 44 years. And if your wife wants to go to the movies tonight, you want to do something else, well, you compromise and most of the time she wins because she's most, remember, your priority structure is
Yeah.
so important that you got to keep those priorities straight.
Yeah.
If you don't keep those priorities straight, you're not going to do things properly.
Yeah. See, life is so easy because you have your priorities very clearly in alignment. So all of your decisions, you're looking at your list of priorities and saying, okay, my wife is up number one. So that drives everything, right? My religion, my family, etc. So when you look at your decisions every day that you have to make, it's relatively easy because you have your priorities straight. You know the order.
Yes, and everything falls in place as a result of it.
Yeah.
Sure, I've got a million other things on my plate today. Some of them are going to take more priority than the rest.
Yeah.
Some of them are definitely going to be have more priority than the rest because they have deadlines. But if you work on them in such a way, they're all going to work in such a beautiful way. It's amazing. Uh, I'm just blown away by so many things I don't know and things that I learned from people more intelligent by me than me. Uh, for example, yesterday, I'll just give this an example. I have a syndicated radio show with 7 million people on it, and I haven't been monetizing it properly. And that's probably true of most people with radio shows and syndicated radio shows. So I sat down with an AI genius, and within a half hour, we had a plan to make us like the people that are making money in these syndicated radio shows. Now, that is the power of AI today, is it grasps the knowledge of the world and puts it to you in such a way that you have solutions to problems that every problem is at the tips of your fingertips as long as you know how to frame it properly to the AI people out there.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, we're living in very interesting times. I mean, and we need that AI power to solve some of these problems because you and I, we check out the news. We know what's going on in the world. We might not dwell on it, but we know what's going on in the world. And there are some real problems out there, like real, real tough stuff. And
Yeah,
so I'm grateful that we have that tool.
a lot of it has to do with human people that don't have their priorities correct. A
Yeah,
lot of it has to do with people that are making the decisions but not doing it with everybody at heart.
yeah.
They're doing
Uh,
it for different reasons than what you and I do, Michael.
yeah. Yeah. If you had to distill all of your life lessons into one message for college students who also want to live a truly fantastic life, what would it be?
One simple sentence separates it from everything else. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens.
Well, that's it. That's the message that we are going to leave you with today. I can't think of a better way to end the show. If our listeners, if they want to buy your books, if they want to listen to your syndicated show, or maybe they want to book you to come and speak on
Yeah,
their college campus,
go
where
through.
should they go?
Let's go through three of those. Number one,
Yes.
if you want to hear me speak,
Yeah.
Dr. L Speaks, DRAL Speaks .com. Now, I speak on a lot of topics for students. I have one that addresses their fears, and I call it Success is the Other Side of Fear. And the other one is Unpack Your Backpack, and other for students to really get ahead. And I also motivate teachers as well when I do this. So people get me for two things. They get me both for the students and for the educators that are there. Secondly, if you want my book, The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life, it's on Amazon and everywhere good books are sold. If you can't find it, it's not a good bookstore. Thirdly, if you'd like to get in touch with me, drallenlycka.com, Drallen, Lycka, Ly as in yellow, CKA.com. Love to talk to you. You know, I'm all about people reaching out. Don't hesitate. I'd love to hear you. Even if you didn't like what I had to say today, talk to me. Chat with you.
I love that. I love that. I love that, you are so accessible. I love that you love to debate and have those discussions. And we've had all kinds of discussions over the years, and you've been so gracious to me. You've listened to my perspectives. I've listened to your perspectives, and I come away a better person. And I think that's ultimately where we need to get to as a society, is where we can debate the issues back and forth, have those discussions, and come to at least a common understanding of where we're all coming from.
Right.
Of
I think
course,
that's the problem we have right now, Michael, is
yeah,
people paint things as black and white, and
yeah,
they don't realize there's a middle ground.
sure,
Really, uh, you know, there is a middle ground in everything.
yeah. And I think ultimately we agree on probably 80% of the things, right? The only errors that we have between us are probably at maximum 20%. You and I both agree in family life. We both agree in religion. We both agree in our values. We both agree in helping other people. We agree in all of those things. Maybe we can find, if we searched, I mean, we're more alike than different for sure, but maybe there's a 20% difference in all human beings, right? And the way that we resolve those things is sit down and talk to each other.
Exactly, and also open your mind and
Yeah,
travel,
yeah,
speak to people
yeah,
in other situations.
yeah,
You'll never understand other people unless you put yourself in their shoes.
yeah. Well, that's why the service is so important for you to help other people. I think both you and I are very fortunate to have doctorate degrees. I mean, not everybody gets a chance to go to college. And so we have to recognize how fortunate we are to be at some of the best institutions in North America, and give back and help other people and put a hand out and raise them up with us. I think that is our mutual responsibility. I think that's why we're put on this earth. It's to help other people. That's really what I've come to understand.
A turning point in my life realized is that although I was helping people in one field, I can influence more people in the field I am now.
Yeah,
And on my show, Live with the Famous Dr. Al, I have 7 million listeners a month.
amazing.
So that's another place you could all reach out to me. I'm mainly on Apple platforms, so you can find me there. But just look out Live with the Famous Dr. Al. You'll find me if you want me.
That is fantastic. Alan spells his name Allen. His last name is Lycka, Lycka. Go and check out dralspeaks.com. Bring him to your college campus. Check out his syndicated radio show. Buy his books. I'm telling you, this guy is the real deal, and you need to get him in it. So thank you so much, Dr. Al, for being with us today. We appreciate it. All right. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed it, please, I want you to share it on social media. Dr. Al needs to reach even more listeners. So please share it. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.